up and introduced to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Robert White. I represent Lincoln Lodge number 54 tonight with our correspondence and business with Grand Lodge Foundation. We have invested our money with them, and with that, I present you tonight $1,000 from the foundation and $1,000 from Lincoln Lodge number 544. Chairman. And that comes every year.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of County Hospital and this board, we thank you very much.
Appreciate
and all
that.
your members of the board.
Thank you. And that will happen every year. It's set up so if us old guys not here anymore, the foundation takes care of it. As long as there is a Lincoln County Hospital, if the Lincoln County Hospital ceases, that money will go to the KU Medical Centers for Cancer Research. Thank you very much, and good evening.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Come back again.
I promise Mother I'd take her up.
Maybe tomorrow.
All right. If I could, Mr. Chairman, just one comment. Just a reminder, and just for our new board members, the $2,000 that we get every year from the Masonic Lodge goes into the what's called the board account or board fund. That's this statement that you get every month, and the only people who can do transactions on this account are actually board members. So those funds are fairly well segregated. So for our new members, that's how we handle those particular funds. Thank you.
All right. Board members, have you read the minutes? Ready to approve them? Any questions about it?
I have one suggestion. There's no indication last month that in executive session I agreed I would recuse myself from anything having to do with Dr. Mazzola. I believe under the law required executive session comments like that need to be recorded.
Do you know anything about it?
I do not. But Mr. Crankton is an attorney at law, and I think he probably knows that better than I do. I know that we can't take action, correct action, in most executive sessions, and that we should come out of executive session to do anything. I was unaware of that, but we can amend the minutes to reflect that. I think that we should start with it.
If there's any vote on Dr. Mahoney's status, I would recuse myself from it.
I was reading this, and I got the Dr. Yasmin Shima, and we'll see patients from 0 to 17 years of age, but will not admit to Lincoln County Hospital. Why is that?
Well, pediatrics is a pretty specialized practice, and our nurses aren't trained. Salina Regional, Hayes Regional have pediatric units, but the nurses are trained to handle pediatric patients, and so that's probably the better strategy, and it's her preference as well.
So that on some minor stuff I could surely handle, couldn't it?
It's her call, and so.
But it says here in the contracted with that one.
Well, I don't know if that's exactly correct. If it's contract, I'd have to go back and look at the contract. But
Well, why would
Yeah,
it be in here that she would not then? Would not.
Because that's her preference, is that she not do inpatient pediatrics because of the special care that's required. On pediatrics, I think the big thing is that their physiology is so much different from adults
Oh, yeah.
that we don't have the nursing staff with the training to be able to handle that kind of care adequately, and we just think it's a wiser decision to basically have those patients, if they need admitted, to be admitted at a Salina Regional or a Hayes Medical Center.
Okay, I just kind of wondered because
Right.
it just looked odd.
Yeah, okay. No, I understand. I'm happy to answer the question.
No, not correction. Let's see, there's an explanation.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the correction that Bob brought forward in the minutes.
Second anywhere?
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the minutes with corrections as presented by Mr. Cranston. Any more discussion about that? There's no discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
We'll get a written addendum to that.
Yes. Mr. Treasurer,
Yes.
do you have anything to add to your treasurer's report other than you just earned another $2,000 this evening?
Under my administration, income has gone way up.
All right.
Digger took care of it last time again, so I'll get a copy of the minutes and take them back.
We will get that done tomorrow. They need the official minutes, or we can't do it, the signed minutes. So
You're gonna, you take it down, or you want me to?
we can take it down. We're here, and you wouldn't have to come back to them.
It's not a big deal.
Should we have a notation on this, it's amendment, before signing?
Just note as amended. I think you can write that. So I think we need a motion.
Treasurer's
Yeah, I'm waiting on that. Shall we accept the treasurer's report as presented?
so moved.
Can you second that?
Okay.
Well, good for you, sir. Thank you.
Why not?
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the treasurer's report as presented. Any discussion anywhere? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now, Mr. Ranzow?
Medical staff has met twice since this board has last met. And primarily what we've been doing is taking care of a backlog of credentialing. So I have 7 credentials to present to the board tonight. The first will be a telemedicine staff credential for Tyler Price, MD, in emergency medicine. He is a Vera emergency physician. The second is to the consulting staff in internal medicine, Jason P. Kimball, MD. The third is also to the consulting staff in pathology. It's David Garrett Wagner, W-A-G-N-E-R. Next, also the consulting staff in radiology is Robert W. Haller, M.D., H-A-L-L-E-R. Next is to the allied health staff, physician assistant, Kai T. Engler, K-A-I, middle initial T, E-N-G-L-E-R-T.
Thank you.
Next, to the courtesy staff is Gary Brent Morsch, M.D. Morsch is spelled M-O-R-S-C-H, family medicine.
Courtesy, what's that mean?
Basically, he, under the courtesy of the medical staff, he basically could come here, say we hired him as a locum tenens because he is the fellow that heads up Doxy Care out of Kansas City.
Okay.
And so it's just one
Just
step
one of
further
the-
removed from
Awesome.
consulting.
And when Kai is on allied health staff, what does that mean exactly?
Well, he's a mid-level provider, and so they have a different staff credential.
Oh, so is he going to be coming regularly?
Well, no, we contract with him because occasionally we require his services.
He's still occasional.
Again, in a locums kind of thing, if we need coverage, that would be.
I just
would
thought
be,
maybe we put him on
cut.
staff and I was checking.
Well, yeah, well, he is on staff, but
Right.
they have to be on staff if we're going to invite them here to practice.
Right, but he's not working regular hours. He's just
No.
called in when we need him, right?
Exactly. Yep.
How much do you pay one of them to be used?
Oh, I'd have to look that up. I don't have that figure off the top of my head.
They're all different, probably.
Yeah, they're all different. I mean, Dr. Morsch would make, as a physician, makes a lot more than a mid-level would make.
Do they physically come here and work, or do you do it
Yes,
online?
no, they would be physically
They
present.
come here.
Yes.
And you use them on a consulting
Think-
Well,
situation based
to
on.
cover vacations and
That's
things
it.
like that. If the doctor's
Think
chief
more
wanted to
direct.
go on vacation, we would have Dr. Morsch or one of the physicians come here to cover a vacation.
Okay.
Do you have a general idea of how much it costs to have them for a week?
Dr. Morsch?
Or Dr. Courtesy, family practice use this?
Well, to have Dr. Morsch here, most of these are, each one is different. Dr. Morsch is probably going to be approximately, or one of his physicians, approximately $250 to $300 a day. That's what they get. On Dr. Kimball, who is with Sunflower Telemedicine and basically practices primarily remotely via the telephone, they charge $12 for 24 hours. So whatever, again, that works out to about the same thing. It's about $300 a day. That's what it costs to bring these people in.
How often do you use these? Quite often, or not very
No,
often?
not very often. Like I said, to cover vacations and things of that nature.
And like the radiologist person, you use them when you need that service, probably. Right?
Well, radiology, again, is different. We have them on staff to overread x-rays. Most of these fellows are either with one of our teleradiology services, provides what we call Nighthawk or night and weekend services, or they're with United Radiology down in Salina. Now, the difference there is they can charge Medicare or whatever third-party payer for their services for reading those radiographs.
Okay, good.
So,
What kind of like that with United Radiology? I think he's from overseas someplace.
well, a lot of the,
Can the Chivas do that when they're here, or
do what?
to read radiology and that, or is that a special?
Yes, they will review the radiographs on their own, make presumptive diagnosis, but within the field of medicine, it all goes to the specialist to read it, and so
Officially, or whatever.
they do the official read. We do the same thing in pathology.
Okay.
You know, when we do that kind of laboratory here, we'll primarily on laboratory, what we send out is pathology. We also send out microbiology and some things like that.
Okay.
Because that's not something we do
That you
here.
have to do. Okay.
Right. Yep.
And some of these you said are reappointments.
Yes.
How were they found in the first place? Do they submit proposals to the hospital and over the transit?
Well,
or-
yeah, over the transit, more or less, yeah. Yeah, we use as many local people as possible. We use United Radiology, which is a primary radiology group. They're out of Salina, they're close by. They have long-standing relationships with a lot of the providers in and around Salina. The same thing with the pathologist, that's Weber Palmer Macy out of Salina. So we use them because it's a long-standing relationship. It goes back to the founders, Dr. Weber, Palmer, and Macy, who founded that group. It's still named after them. So some of the others, Dr. Morsch, that is a multi-state business of theirs. He's been in that business for as long as I can remember. And so they kind of pioneered that here in the state of Kansas. And so that's why we use them. Kai Engler used to be an employee here. And so I know him and his business partner. They run what's called Rural Emergency Medical Providers. And so that's the basis of our contract with them. It's a personal relationship that goes back to his appointment here.
So all 7 of these are renewals.
Yes, yes. Paperwork's been done in the past. Now, just to clarify a bit further, as you can see, these are a quarter to a half-inch thick. There's a lot of paperwork that's done here. We contract out that paperwork, and so. but we-
Contract out the answers, you have questions or what?
all the above. We contract out the questions and they gather the answers for us and we use them here. This medical provider resources, they're out of Wichita. They do a lot of work around the state. So we have a contract with them as well to do that kind of work. Because we don't have the staff to do it half of the work. We can do preliminary work, but not the bulk of the work that gets done. It takes a while, it's a process.
So they do investigating on that and everything?
Yes, yes. You have to have primary sources. They send letters to every hospital that the physician is listed as having practiced that. There's a couple of national databases that can be checked and things of that nature.
So basically, we use the consultant to hire the consultants.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. We use an expert to do that because it is a complicated business.
I have a question. First of all, sorry, I didn't quite make 6:30, but I was close. You're Bob Krangle, right?
Yes, the last time.
Okay, nice to see you. I'm Lorelei Dole. And who are you, sir?
Jim Weber.
Say who? Jim?
Jim Weber.
Jim Weber. Okay, nice to meet you. I had surgery last week and missed a meeting, so I'm out of the loop on the new people. Okay, my question was, so these people are all credentialed, right? And so last month, I tried to listen to the meeting and my computer kept telling me I was open to a virus, so it took me an hour and a half to hear 20 minutes and I gave up. But did we credential Chima's last week, or last month?
Last month, yes.
And then are they credentialed now for Medicare and Medicaid and all that too now? Good, good. Well, I just knew, I just wanted to make sure that it was the whole access done for them. Great, okay.
Ready to make a motion, sir?
Yeah,
Okay.
since I did it for years. Mr. Chairman, I move we approve Tyler Price, MD, Tone Medicine, and Jason Kimball, David Wagner, Robert Healer, and David Halsey to the consulting staff, and Gary Morsch to the family practice staff, and Kai Engler to the allied health staff of Lincoln County Hospital.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept both named people into the hospital staff. Any more discussion on the other subject? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. That's back in your lap, sir.
All right, thank you. To start off, I just want to mention to the board, we're basically back at better than full staffing with the people we have now. Of course, we've had Dr. Arshad Chima in family medicine, Dr. Yasmin Chima in pediatrics, but our most recent provider to start with us is a young woman by the name of Emily Lindsley, who started working here yesterday. She is an APRN, so we're basically back at full staff. We're better than full staff because we can now offer services 5 days a week, including our walk-in service every morning from 7 to 8:30, not only here in Lincoln, but also 5 days a week from 9:30 to 4:30 in Sylvan Grove starting this week. We'll be seeing patients Monday through Friday. So we've been actually able to, I think, expand our business base. We're getting ready to do some other things to expand that as well. Emily Lindsley comes to us from Ellsworth, where she was a provider there. She's well known to the staff here. I think we made a good hire. I think we will be getting a lot of patients who follow her from Ellsworth up here. We're going to try doing that. We've been doing some advertising in Ellsworth, Beloit, Minneapolis, of course, Lucas, places of that nature. Started that with the Doctors Chima and their reception that we held on June 7th, which was very well attended. We had probably 70 to 75 people come through in that 3-hour time period. And so I think that that went very, very well.
Sorry, could I just ask if we have this Emily Lindsley and Doctors Chima and Jessica, right? Is that her
Yeah,
name?
Jessica McMahon.
McMahon. And then who else do we have as far as the mid-levels? Are there more?
Those are the primary ones that work the clinic.
That's those four
Those
of the
four.
clinic.
Those are our 4 primary care providers in both the Lincoln Clinic and the Sylvan Grove Clinic.
And then in the ER we have Sarah Biggs and Abby
Weigel, Lindsay Rutt, and Andrea Ronaldo.
Lindsay. That's who I was missing. Andrea. Okay,
All
I
right.
just had a question. Would it be appropriate to maybe track the numbers for a couple of months in the two clinics to see, like we're opening 5 days in Sylvan, and how many people go through there in a day? Just to
Well,
make
yeah,
sure
we-
that it's warranted
Yeah,
for that many?
Yeah, we track that, but,
Or like his report packet,
yeah,
Excuse me?
it's in your report
yeah.
packet.
All those numbers, we track all that. There'll be new numbers.
I know that, but what
It'll
I'm
be new
saying
numbers.
is I think we need to really watch that carefully now since we're switching to 5 days a week.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, I know we need to, what I'm saying is I think we need to check it here and see how many people go through since it's new that we're opening it for more days a week. That's all. Not that it hasn't been there, but we need to really have that discussion, I think, at some point.
Well, yes, we're doing a couple of things. I think we've got flyers going up now, starting today in Sylvan about Dr. Yasmin Shima seeing patients there. She's going to attend the lunch on Thursday when she's there and introduce herself to the people that come, bring children, and things of that nature.
Have we put them in Lucas too?
I'm sorry?
Have we had put flyers in Lucas too?
We will be, yes.
Good.
We'll be advertising it. I'm
Okay.
working on a marketing campaign now as we speak.
Okay.
So it takes time. I'm working with Chris and Abby to do some layout work for display ads and things of that nature. So that's underway. So
Steve, can I, just, well, I brought this up, I personally seen Dr. Chima last week the other day, and the two nurses that was assisting him in Sylvan really said that this clinic is working as well as it ever has been. And they even had an update on the CPSI on the computer system. And they didn't even have a problem with it. I thought that was wonderful.
CPSI is our electronic health record, both in the hospital and the clinic.
So I thought, why do we ever consider hiring a super user when things are going so fast?
Well, that's a different story, different set of providers. We have new providers now that are more acclimated to using electronic health records, and they take to it much more easily than providers in the past.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm happy to answer your question. Okay, so we talked about the reception for the Chimas. That went quite well. I think their business is building well. Actually, our numbers of visits, we went over that this morning in medical staff meeting. Number of clinic visits and things of that nature are up over last month, so that's a good indication. So
May I ask a question about that? I just heard that we're doing walk-ins now all the time.
right,
Do we still take appointments?
absolutely.
Okay, so here's my question, because I'm making appointments for all my Can Be Healthies with these kids Thursday. If my appointment's at 2, and if there have been 3 walk-ins before me, then do I wait till 4, or do they wait, or what happens?
Walk-ins wait. Walk-ins wait. Appointments come first. Walk-ins have to wait. We say that. I don't have the advertisement in front of me, but we say clearly in the ads we have running in the newspaper and the other pieces that, walk-ins, call in advance so you know how long your wait's going to be.
Okay, great.
Okay? So as long as appointments take precedence.
Okay, that's what I was hoping.
We're good. We're doing several things. I don't want to get too bogged down in the administrative, but we've already worked with our ER providers to make sure, especially with pediatric patients, that they're referring them directly back to the clinic for their follow-up visits, which is standard practice. So we're making sure that gets done to reinforcing that, trying to build that business. So that we do have plans in place. We are working the plan, and I think it's going to be fun. I think we make this work.
I'm sorry, did you mention immunizations? Are they going to be, where are they going to be?
We're still working on that.
Okay.
We're
So I might need
a
those
little bogged,
Thursday.
a little bogged down with that with the
Okay.
state. Yeah, we're working on that. So
Okay.
that's part of what's going on is being able to work our way through the state bureaucracy, not for just immunizations in general, but also those, especially for Medicaid and other special populations. So that's quite the. It's a 55-page manual we have to go through. Okay. So anyway, I wanted to go through some other things. I handed you all out a note from KHA about what's happened with the state Supreme Court. That's just a heads up that KHA, Kansas Medical Society, others are predicting that that Supreme Court decision will force increases in our professional liability insurance. So that's kind of a heads up that those court decisions impact us as well. So that was a late ad that came out after the packets were already being put together and some things of that nature.
Any idea how much they go up?
No, not yet. We'll have to get that figured out at some point in time. It's just been they made the decision within the past week, so
Okay.
but it probably they'll estimate it what I would think would be a significant impact, and then if that's too high, then they'll back that down. But it's one of those things. It's anybody's guess. So we will go with that. I also included in your packets another letter from the Kansas Healthcare Cooperative that, again, names us as one of the top 44 hospitals in the state of Kansas. And they included the list of the hospitals that actually made the list. And what I thought was instructive that you should look at is our neighboring hospitals that are not on that list, because all of the hospitals in the state of Kansas participate in this quality of care program. So I just wanted that to be seen as well. So,
I see Elkhorn County, Mitchell County, and Salina Regional missing.
Sorry about that.
Anybody else?
That's something you'd like to see Chris put in paper?
anyway,
Young lady.
I've been bringing that up for a while, and I just wanted to let you know
Well, need to off that horn every
that
once
there
in a while.
really is a list
Yeah,
out there,
way to promote that.
and that we're on it. And I give a lot of the credit for that goes. These are all hospital measures, so a lot of the credit goes to the nursing staff, because they're the ones who monitor all of this. So I think they get a lot of the credit, and they do well. That's one of the things that I brought up today toward the end of medical staff. I really think we have a very fine instrument in our hands to basically go forward to continue to grow and maintain health care in Lincoln County and the surrounding areas based on the physician and mid-level staff that we have, but the nursing staff as well. I am quite pleased with all of the people we have under the umbrella of Lincoln County Hospital. I just I want to share that with you, because they're the people who actually do the work in the trenches, and think it is going quite well as far as I'm concerned. So I just want to show. I can't say enough, basically enough good things about the staff we have here. Do we have hiccups occasionally? Yes. Are we quick to fix those? Yes. And we need to move on in the right direction. But overall, this is a very good group, a very dedicated group, and I am proud of them and the job they do, all of them, whether it's in the clinic or the hospital or the emergency department. I think we do stellar job and all of this. So good staff. Okay.
Could I ask a question about this? This is the milestone, KHC milestone that you are referring to.
Yes.
What are some of the substantive things that are done to go from level 1 to level 12?
Well, those are just the different kind of cohorts they were looking at. The things that are measured and the things that we look at, just to name a few off the top of my head, are falls. How many falls do you have, whether they're observed, assisted, unobserved, however. We do very good. We started addressing this 3 or 4 years ago, and Krista Hazemeyer, our chief nursing officer, basically came up, adapted a program rather that would work for us. So when you see, if you come to the hospital and you see patients, they're going to have a colored star on the door jamb of their patient room. Okay. Red means they need an assist. They're not allowed to get up on their own. They're not allowed to go to the bathroom on their own, et cetera, et cetera. Yellow is a caution. They need some assistance. But with some time, they'll be okay. Green, the green star, means they can be up and around on their own. We also differentiate it by the color of the socks that they wear. The other thing that we did in cooperation with the Paul program is instead of having what I would call a pool of what we call gait belts. Those are the belts we put around the patient when you see them walking down the hall, somebody has folded that gait belt. What we started doing as part of our patient intake is you do that assessment, but each patient also gets their own individual gait belt. So that gait belt is with them throughout their stay and actually goes home with them. So that's one of the things. We look at adverse drug events. For instance, if somebody's who's on warfarin for atrial fibrillation, if their INR is too high or too low, we look at those kinds of things. The other adverse drug events involve patients with diabetes and whether they had too much medication or not enough to control their blood sugar and things of that nature. We also look at catheter-associated urinary tract infections, or CAUTIs. And so the idea is to not use urinary catheters except when very, very necessary. So we do that. We also look at what's called CLABSI, which is central line associated bacterial infections. And so we sometimes put a central line in somebody because they're getting a lot of antibiotics, and the central line goes in up here by the collarbone into the subclavian vein, and so we monitor that for infections. Since we don't do surgery, we don't have to do surgical site infections. We do report those on patients who are transferred here from Salina Hayes or elsewhere if they do develop a surgical site infection after they've been transferred here. But that usually goes back to that's all under the rubric of what's called HAI, or hospital-acquired infections, which is a big push to reduce those. So we score quite well in all of those categories.
So those categories are related to the patient care.
Yes.
Indices
And
of patient care.
Yep. Observation by nursing
It's
staff.
not administrative necessarily.
Oh, no. No, it's nurses. Nurses do the work on the floor. So part of it is that we report, and we report faithfully, but that's part of what you've got to do.
What you gave us just says timely data submission.
Right.
Right. I had the same question. That's a
Achievement
weird.
of goals, and I didn't know what they were.
Right.
I'm very encouraged that they were real.
Yes. Yeah, it's not a joke. As I've been saying all along, it's not a joke. It's serious. We do quite well. We take patient care very seriously. And our nursing staff does a good job with it. Any other questions on that? we stack up quite well across the state of Kansas. I think other things to mention, Congressman Marshall will be here Saturday at 11 at the library. That's just an FYI for everybody. That's something I try to attend, and I think the board should be aware of. There are a couple of other things. One of the things I included in your packet is a document request from the county commissioners. They're asking for cash reported, things of that nature, and various and sundry financial documents. We already provide that information to the county commission on a monthly basis. Every month, we send our county commission our financial statements.
That's what's in that packet.
Yep.
Okay.
And cash is one of the things that's reported at the top of the second page. That's
Okay.
cash. The other thing that we report to the county commission on a regular basis is they get copies of our audited financial reports every year.
Okay.
And so you have, I don't know how many years worth of those on hand somewhere
Files.
in the county files up there. So that information's already being
Okay.
provided.
I didn't know for sure. Alexis brought that up.
You have that.
Okay.
I think I touched on the fact when I was there a couple of weeks ago that we report that financial data every month
Yeah.
to the county commission, and they have access to it. So
Including over the last 3 years.
every year that I've been here, this is my 5th year. They have gotten a copy of those financial statements.
They said, yeah, you guys.
They have gotten a copy of the audited financial report.
30 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since I've been here.
Yeah. So, yes, they have that. It's reported faithfully, not only the county commission, but the public building commission, as I mentioned when I was
You know, we had that, and I did review that. Didn't
Right.
I? And I didn't know for sure. When we brought that up the other day, I didn't have that
Yeah.
packet to review that.
Right.
So,
all of that is there.
in there.
Just
Okay.
have to resurrect it, I suppose.
So we have the packets each month. You guys send us one.
Mhm.
Like you got one of those envelopes like you just had.
Right.
Mr. Weber had it.
Question.
So, yeah, we get one.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I
Well,
wasn't sure. But
yeah,
we
you're
got
welcome. They also requested some other documents, including employment contracts with providers like rural emergency medical providers, Sunflower Telemedicine, a very emergency, and there may be one more that I'm forgetting. I'd like to discuss that with this board because my preference is for the county commissioners to come down here and view those contracts.
Okay.
And I can have that set up in my office, and you can look at the contracts just make an appointment with me, and you
Okay.
can look at anything you like. I've just, some of those contracts contain proprietary information for some of those companies, and I just do not want it getting
Okay.
out and about loosely, so I would prefer if you
Yeah,
would
that's
please
fine.
come- Okay.
I'll get with Alexis and
Okay.
we'll try to get with you and make an appointment sometime.
Sure.
To
And
meet
that's
with you.
fine.
Yeah, that's all we're doing to review that.
Okay, and that's fine. I'm happy to do that, but just basically on that condition.
On the same page that has cash, it says assets whose use is limited, and it's doing very well from year to year. What are those assets?
Could I defer that to next month and get you a list?
Sure.
Yeah.
We went from 576,000 worth of assets whose use is limited to 593,000. So it's a moneymaker.
Well, I'm going to hazard a guess here, and this may be wrong, but one of the things we do, I think it was Tanya, board members, 2.5 years ago, we refinanced all of the revenue bonds that paid for the remodeling of the hospital from 2008 to 2010, 2011. We refinanced that basically for the interest savings, which over the remaining life of those bonds is going to be approximately $1 million, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
One of the it wasn't a condition of redoing the bonds, but one of the accounts that we set up is not only do we make the monthly payment on bonds, we also make the monthly payment into an account in exactly the same amount as we pay on the bonds, so that we set aside at least a year's worth of bond payments. And the payments that we're making both on the bonds and into that account, which is part of those assets whose use is limited, we're paying at the old rate, not the new rate. So it's like buying down the mortgage. We're trying to buy down the mortgage a bit and pay off more principal than we have to. I think, and I'd have to go back and look at what.
It was like $235,000.
Yeah, look at what exactly we're paying, but it's a substantial amount that we agreed to pay down, I believe, until at least 2020 to buy down the principal of those bonds. So that's part of the assets that are limited, and that's part of what we keep building up. There are several other accounts in that. We self-insure on our health insurance, and again, that's an account that we have whose funds are limited, that we fund every month as needed, and that may not be in there. I'm trying to go from what I recollect of looking at bank statements and checks I sign every month. So there is that. We also have a funded depreciation account. Another one whose use is limited is the one that we put the Masons Fund into, that only the board can write checks on. So I think that's not everything, but I think that's a decent subset or guess at what is in those limited use funds. Okay. All right. Sure. And like I say, it's just a guess, but that's my recollection from looking at that every month and trying to recall what's in it. When we're talking about all of this financial information and things of that nature, I wanted to point out tonight we participate in the Sunflower Health Network and 27 other hospitals. We participate in a group purchasing organization that we use to buy a lot of our supplies and things of that nature. And by participating in that organization, Vizient, used to be called MSS, we get not only discounts on what we spend on pharmaceuticals, disposable bedpans, you name it, we buy it in bulk, we buy it through them. But we also get rebates. And so far this year, our Vizient rebate, the last check we got, which was just the other day, was $8,826.34. And so with a couple of other rebate checks that came in earlier this year, our rebates this year have been approximately $10,000. That's in the first 6 months of the year. We're coming under a lot of criticism about, what money comes in, what money goes out, and where it's coming from. The other thing, and I started this 5 years ago when I got here, because I did it at the last hospital I managed, is we also participate with USAC. I think if you recall on your telephone bills, when you have landlines, they're hidden now on your cell phone. There's a monthly fee that everybody pays every month to support telecommunications infrastructure in rural Kansas. We applied for that USAC fund just about 5 years ago when I got here, because it really helps with our infrastructure costs. Over the past 5 years, that's generated just over $76,000 in funding for this hospital to go towards our telecommunication expenses. So I want to emphasize that, yes, we do try to manage the costs and expenses in a prudent way. And those are just two of the things that we do. One of the things that I also started 5 years ago that I don't have a cost-saving on, but one of the things we do is we contract by the natural gas that heats this place in the winter at wholesale prices. So we are not paying retail on it, and that's got to be a savings on those gas prices of, I would say, up to about 15%. So, but we take running this business very, very seriously. And I think there are some people who think that we don't, but we do. We have our ultimate objective is to be one of the finest hospitals in the state of Kansas as far as quality of care goes. But we also mind the nickels when we can. So I just want to emphasize that and get that out in front of you all and the public in general. In that same vein, I got notice today, we do fund some of our operations through grants that I write. We don't hire a grant writer. I am the grant writer. I am my own administrative assistant. That's when the administrative assistant gets blamed for some inadequacies. Okay? But we received notice that our primary care grant today was funded to the tune of $50,000. So that's other, I don't want to call it free money, but there's money out there that I try to take advantage of to fund the operations of this hospital. And so...
and who's that come from?
That comes through the state of Kansas.
Okay.
That's a primary care kind of thing. That's funded by the state of Kansas. I've been writing that grant the last 4 years.
You have special plans for that?
That goes to subsidize the salaries of the doctors Chima and our mid-levels in the clinic. So we put all of that towards clinic operations. All right. Now then, the other thing that I wanted to mention is that the auditors are here. And so we've been, my people, primarily, I don't take any credit for dealing with the auditors, but Tanya and Gwen have been dealing with the auditors, and they'll be here through Friday. And this is only the start. We will be very busy until we get our audited financials, probably in time for the August meeting, which you said, in time for the August meeting, and then the cost report will be finalized after that. So that, again, that's, if it sounds like we're very busy and very tied up, it's because we are. The auditors are here, and that's one of the big things that we do. So, wanted to mention that. The administrative staff has been very busy up with that. So we'll go forward. But it is a big deal for us because out of those audited financials, we generate our annual cost report, and that cost report determines on what Medicare will pay us going forward. We hope. It can cut both ways. Hopefully they'll pay us more and we don't go wrong with them, but we won't know until this is done. That's why it's kind of a critical thing. So. All my check marks. That's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Is there any questions from the board on the medical staff or administrator's report? Move on then. Old business. We tabled from last month
The bylaws?
The bylaws and discussion on the bylaws. Are we prepared to? How was wording?
That's just for the board members. So if we've got another one for Mr. Crandall. Okay, very good. On the, there was one question about the bylaws last month from Alan that asked if we could put a provision in there that any member of the board who did not sign the confidentiality statement could be barred from participating in executive sessions. I sent that on up to our board attorney, and his opinion is no. We cannot do that. It's not recognized under COMA, which is Kansas Open Meetings Act, or anything that has to do with the, I can't remember the law that has to do with the laws and regulations concerning executive sessions. But that was the one thing I was asked to look into after we deferred that last week, and that is the answer that came back.
That's several that question.
Appreciate getting that opinion. Do we need further discussion on the bylaws?
I was looking at Article 9, Section 2, duties of the chief executive officer, defined in written statement adopted by the board, to include the exact qualifications, authority, and duties. Is that a statement that you already have?
What page?
Page 7.
11.
Oh, I'm sorry, I've got the unredlined version.
So it's red, it's in red ink, all that's been added.
Section 2. Yes, it's not in red ink, so I assume you already have it. I haven't seen it. Because it uses the word shall, it seems to be mandatory.
Maybe this was done before.
Could I get a copy of it?
I don't think I have it in the file somewhere.
After the first 7 years, I think the files are supposed to. It's the original. I've just been informed this is the original. These are the old bylaws. That statement wouldn't be in the bylaws, it would be in the personnel file. Yeah, in the bylaws as they stand right now, it says the exact qualifications, the exact authority and exact duties of the administrator should be defined in a written statement adopted by the Board of Trustees and reviewed annually, amended from time to time by action of the Board.
So it's there.
So I'd like to look at a copy of it.
Oh, you're referring to this written statement, don't you?
It's called duties. Yes, the written statement of duties.
Are you saying it's different now from the original bylaws, or it should be?
We're saying there should be a written statement that clearly defines my authority.
And that hasn't changed in the corrections. So
I have
assume
no idea where that would be. Till Bob's questioned it, it's never been questioned.
You gotta check the secretarial file.
We can look for that.
Look like a written statement of the job description of what you're supposed to be doing.
Pretty much.
Was that part of the recruitment? Was there a job description?
If you were gonna hire, say, a new one, there may be a job description then you would have.
So you got
Not,
that.
you know.
I think he's asking, was there 5 years ago? When we hired Steve?
5+ years.
Did you have a job description shown to you at that time, do you remember?
There should be.
Not that I recall, but you know that.
Yeah, who knows? I don't remember it either.
Because basically I ended up signing the contract, and I think the job duties are outlined in that contract.
You know, probably.
And
Should
so-
be. It should be.
Yeah.
And that would be, like where we're hiring you right now, trying to hire people
Right.
in the county, and we got job descriptions for each.
Mhm.
But like you say, with the contract, that could vary on
Right.
who you actually get.
So I'd have to get you copies of that contract. But I know where that is. Now I know where it is.
You find that?
I guess, so Bob's question, Bob, are you, is that hasn't changed from the old version of the bylaws to the new, is that something that you think should change, or is your question just simply, does that exist?
My question is, where is it?
Okay.
I'm not making any judgment about whether it's good or bad or indifferent. I just wanted to read it because it's a mandatory requirement in the bylaws.
Is that something that you think you want to postpone approving the changes until you read it?
Well, I don't think that's necessary. It doesn't change the bylaws.
Okay.
But if we're going to have bylaws, we ought to see what they say.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the bylaws as amended.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the bylaws with amendments. Any further discussion on the subject? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried.
I need everybody to go ahead and sign the signature page. All of the board members need to sign that, if you would, please.
What was the year on that? That old bylaws. I remember signing it, but it's been
Yeah, your name there.
15 years ago.
Back page now.
What did you have in mind when you wrote it?
Huh? I'm just trying to remember.
You must have sent me a job.
Oh, 2003.
Yeah. 16 years ago.
Slipped a little bit since then, haven't you?
Right. We got Stan Crawford, Mitch Overmiller, me, Al Joe Wallace, Joyce Walker, and Lou Willingham. All board members.
Thank you.
It's only marginally on the subject, but since we were updating the board bylaws, I also asked our attorney to update our medical staff bylaws, modernize them. They are as old or older than the board bylaws, so that is in process. And when I have something, I will share it with you. But I don't have anything yet, so again, we're looking at doing that because since our old medical staff bylaws were written, we have gone from a regular hospital to a critical access hospital and a couple other things. So that'll be reflected in that. That's kind of an FYI for you.
Steve, you pass this on. What is this for?
Basically, that's for our current cash report. That shows basically cash on hand, I think expenses, and then cash available after all those other items. That's a report the board requested approximately a year ago, as I recall. So we've been handing that out.
This includes grants as well as...
Yes, it
All
would be
cash.
all
All
cash.
cash.
We have it.
Loose change.
Yep. In our operating account.
Yeah, that would, that would be the thing in our operating account.
Does anyone have any other old business to bring before the board?
I have a question about the house in Sylvan Grove that we're supposed to be tearing down. I know now it's harvest. Who would actually do that work if it ever got done? Is that a...
Well, at one time, the county promised to do that. But we've been going back and forth for the last 5 years as to who's going to tear it down and when. We
yeah.
did. There were a couple of times that the county was prepared to take that building down for us. Then we started dealing with the improvement project in Sylvan Grove,
Right.
where you have to fix up so many new houses before you can tear down the old one.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, if I recall correctly, we're waiting for the houses to be fixed up before that one can be torn
Okay.
down as part of that grant.
Okay, I've talked to Jennifer on this half a dozen times. For 2 years,
Mhm.
we've said that is not part of the project. But that house will not be torn down in the improvement project in Sylvan Grove.
Okay.
So it has to be done some other way. And I think that it was promised that it would be done. So I'm just wondering who would actually do the work and when they could do the work.
What is this house and what does it do?
It
No,
sits
it's an eyesore.
It's an attractive nuisance that sits on the lot where our Sylvan Clinic is established. Now,
Does the county own it?
Hospital does.
yeah.
In its own name or through the county commission?
Hospital purchased it from the Truett family.
Flashing.
Huh?
Or I don't know.
Could be a parking lot?
But the last time I touched base with that, one of the questions was, were all the water and gas lines capped? And they are capped. And at that point in time, we've gone back and forth between beautification and then the county had said that they would demolish it. And the last time we touched it, it was were the gas lines and water lines capped, and the answer back was yes.
Well, I've been in to talk to Jennifer, the city clerk, numerous times, for months, and it's not in that project because we could only choose so many houses,
Right.
so that's not what we
Right.
chose.
Right.
So
I
now we're
understand that.
just wondering how we can get rid of it.
That was part of the delays. We've been waiting on third parties because at one time it was in that project, and then it was out, and then it was back in, and then it was out.
I don't know that.
Is this a well-built structure?
No, it's a fallen down house.
Can it be helped?
Can it be what?
Help. Can we
Well,
help it
not-
to fall down?
Help to fall down, yeah.
Yes, that's what help rehab, no.
At a fee.
How much would it cost to clear?
Who knows?
We'd have to get a price for it.
Somebody with a bulldozer and a place to dump it.
Well, I think, I won't say what I think, because it's probably changed. The county was going to go ahead, they had a facility out at the landfill where they take that kind of refuse. I'm not willing to go beyond that, because
I believe Mr. Finch had said the county would waive the
disposal
Dumping
fee
fee,
for
disposal.
the
construction fees.
yeah,
They were supposed to tear it down and haul it off.
yes.
Best thing, Bob, turn to your left and corner, Randy's here and say,
I haven't heard anything about it.
I'm sure you haven't, but I'm just wondering what we could actually do to move that forward.
Well, we could,
Does it need a motion? Or what are we gonna do?
We could talk about it at the county commission.
Can you put it
If
on
I
the
don't know
agenda
if-
there?
Well, yeah, or Alexis. I don't know, she's probably heard of it. See, I haven't heard of it because I'm
Yeah.
new. And, but we could address it again and see what we can do. I don't know who would, I guess the highway department would push it down there. Is that what the plan
that's what
was?
the plan was.
And then we just haul it to our landfill, supposedly.
And if they didn't, then who would it be on us to hire somebody to do it, I assume?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, if that was in the county, we just have to find somebody that would do the work.
Right.
So,
Or move it. House moving.
Not
I
that.
don't,
Then you guys are going, or the hospital board is eventually going to want to put a blacktop or concrete there or something for a parking lot. Is that the plan?
well, right now, I think we just want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Do
Well, obviously, yeah, but I know, but eventually do the parking lot. Right?
I think if
Well-
we did a class project for the high school, it could be done very quickly.
I was
So,
thinking,
there you go.
is
I
there an
don't think they'd be
organization
interested
there?
in that.
Do they have
It's
an
a farmer with a
organization there
tractor and
that's
a loader
looking
and
for
a-
a charitable project?
I don't
And a
know.
wheat truck and dump it in there and haul off out to the
Somebody
pasture.
said something about
That's it.
lightning would be
Who?
Lightning might strike.
Yeah.
It's in there for me.
I mean, I could probably find somebody over there who would do it for a fee, but I'm just wondering that if you want me to do that, or, we'll take it first to the county commission.
Yeah, why
I'll
don't
talk
you
to
try to
Alexis,
get
see
on
if
the
we get it on the
agenda? Why don't you try to get on the agenda and bring that
That's
for
a
us?
step in the right
And then
direction.
we can go from there, at least see what happens.
I got one thing, you mentioned something about that he was getting a contract for the parking lot over there
Mhm.
at Sylvan.
Yes.
How's that coming along?
I haven't touched that since I talked to Steve Ladd about it after our last meeting. So
Okay.
I think we're still looking for a contractor to come
Oh,
and
still
do
looking.
that work. Because we're looking at, as I mentioned last month, we're looking at not only doing that parking lot, but while we're at that, repairing the sidewalk in front of the clinic itself. It's
Yeah.
deteriorated quite a bit.
Yeah, it looks like it's all kind of, I'm seeing where the water stood.
Yes.
You can see where the ice would be.
So you can see where the ice would be.
Both
and
parking
everything.
lots are
Yeah.
in bad shape in that clinic.
We get that done before winter.
I was gonna say, isn't that something
We're-
that's to be
Well,
done?
we're working on that. It's kind of like getting the row crops planted before it's too late in the spring.
For the next rain?
Yeah, for the next
In
rain.
between the rains, so.
Yeah. I will follow up on that, but, so.
Thank you.
All right, let's approve the accounts payable. Give you a motion on that, and then we'll talk about it.
Move to pay the accounts payable.
Motion made, second, and seconded. Now, to approve the accounts payable. Discussion, questions?
I have one.
Alan?
Dealing with the 340B refund.
Yeah.
Is that ongoing? And why are we,
Thank
well, I know why, are we getting a benefit from the program? I guess that's my question. Seems like we're paying them back.
Well, it's kind of a long story. We are currently making refunds to pharmaceutical companies in our 340B program because we had an audit of the 340B program approximately a year ago by the federal agency that handles all that. And basically they said we were taking some inappropriate discounts through some of the pharmacies we had contracted with. People have been getting drugs through our 340B program who weren't eligible to get them. And it was, there were several things, if I recall correctly, that were involved. Number one, the contractor we had at that point in time wasn't doing a good job of maintaining the list of the participating physicians and other providers. And so some of the discounts were being given to us that should have gone elsewhere. So we're basically refunding those discounts to the pharmaceutical companies. At the same time, we've brought in an outside firm to help us manage that more effectively at the local pharmacy level. Jack Crispin, our contract pharmacist, has been managing the hospital side, but we didn't really have a good handle on what was required to manage the pharmacy, the independent pharmacy side. And that's where the program got in trouble. We have been doing the refunds for a number of months now, and again, put in place a contract with the organization to help us manage that better going forward in the future.
Is this a federal program?
Yes.
Health and Human Services?
Basically, yeah, person.
Medicare and Medicaid Services?
Yeah,
CMS?
person. The Health Resources and Services
What's the
Administration.
purpose of it? Just to get cheaper drugs?
Yes, it's to get discount drugs. It's a multi-purpose thing. It doesn't have just one thing. It's to get discounted drugs into the hands of people who couldn't afford the full price pharmaceuticals. But part of that is that the hospitals that participate also get a share in those discounts. So the pharmacies pay us, and I'm simplifying this greatly. This is greatly simplified. So the pharmacies pay us. Now this program was designed, shortly after 2008. And it came up after 2008 because that is when the Congress, the military, and all hospitals in this country under a budget sequester. In other words, they cut our funding by 2 to 3%. And so the 340B program was designed to help make up some of that shortfall. And so that's what we use the discounts for, is to shore up what we're not getting from Medicare. Under the law that went into effect in it wasn't when the program first started in 1997. It was probably subsequent to that 3 or 4 years. But at one point, the law was that we were to get reimbursed 101% of the cost of providing care to our Medicare beneficiaries. And of course, the cost of providing care is determined by Medicare. That's part of why we do the audit, and we have the cost report every year to see what our costs are. So in that period, and that's got to be the last, I'm guessing 15 years minimum, we have been consistently reimbursed less than our actual cost of doing business. And although we're supposed to be getting approximately 98% of our costs, on average, most hospitals like us only get about 87% of our costs. Because when you go to figure in the cost of our business, we're not allowed to account for 100% of our contractual write-offs to Medicare, nor our bad debt with Medicare patients. And so we're only allowed to write off about, I believe it's 65% of those costs. So that's why 340B was invented, to help us try and balance those shortcomings in our funding. And even though it wasn't this year, it was a year ago, I believe they lifted the sequester on the military spending. They did not lift the sequester on hospital funding. If they could do it for the military, they wouldn't do it for us, because they said, well, it's already baked in the cake, which is an expression they like to use a lot, because I've made senators and congressmen unhappy arguing over that. We promise to be reimbursed the cost of our care, and they won't.
So this fall, if there's no sequester, it'll make it worse.
Yep. But hopefully, the last I heard from the Kansas Hospital Association, they're hoping that in 2022, the Congress will finally lift the sequester on hospitals. I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
You have one to Folston's Siphon Attorneys.
Uh-huh.
Is that for all of these? What is that one for?
Well, that's for any legal consulting. That could be like for the bylaws.
I didn't know if that was for all of these questions about.
And about those as well. But yes, Dick A. works for Folston Siphon. They're probably the largest healthcare specialized law firm in Kansas. And he's our attorney.
I got your question answered, all right? And yours. Any other questions concerning the accounts payable?
Just to be absolutely sure, Eli Building Company is the one you were looking at, 340B refund.
Actually, 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
But it was the big one cotton on it.
Yeah, there's some big ones in there from last time, too.
You're supposed to pay that stuff.
Yeah, what you were thinking.
I'm still a little bit confused on that. If Jack was administering the hospital part, then were the pharmacies administering the other part? Or
Well-
who was running that part? Or how
What's
was
the name of our contractor?
You had a contractor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We hired a contractor to do that. We have since dropped that contractor and brought in a new one.
Different. Okay.
We're dealing with a young man who is actually from around here. His name is Aaron Lott, and he's currently running a lot of interference on this for us, because one of the requirements is that you would do an audit every year of each of these independent pharmacies. And we didn't feel we had the expertise to do that, so we hired somebody to do it, and they basically did not perform up to our standards or up to hers. I really sums it up. I can't remember the name of that contract. But
That's
Mr.
okay.
Locke grew up in Salina and has family in the Minneapolis, northern part of the Kansas area. So I've met him. Jack and Tanya dealt with him. And he is assisting us with this, so this doesn't happen again.
Okay, last call before we vote.
Is payroll paid twice a month?
Just once.
Once a month? So roughly speaking, it's $250,000 payroll every month.
Rough numbers.
Yeah, roughly, probably generally a little different than that.
Okay, we
That would
vote.
seem about right, because our payroll annually is $3 to $4 million.
All in favor of paying the bill, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And you pay the bill in the amount of $819,001.68. That stinks to say that. Do we have any other new business to bring to the board?
I have a question on, for the board, Mr. Chairman, about medical consultants. Currently, I guess we have Dr. Degoni, our consultant for the EMS system down at the EMS facility, and also our county medical clinic. And some were concerned about his status, if he would still be our medical consultant, and if we should.
He still has a license to practice law, practice medicine in the state of Kansas. You'll have to.
We were wondering if we could, about the Chimas possibly becoming our medical consultant for.
Derek and I have visited about that.
Okay.
When our schedules allow, we're going to visit about that more, and I promised I would reach that subject with Dr. Chima on the EMS.
Because we didn't want to have we don't know, that was a good question based on Dr. Degoni's status, because we didn't want to have a problem there where we didn't have a medical consultant license. Same way also with the county medical clinic, we talked to the director there, and she was concerned about that, and even already have been pursuing another doctor. And
yes,
you dealt with that too with her?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
She had asked Dr. Yasmin Chima, and Dr. Yasmin Chima deferred on that. She would rather not at this point in time as we're trying to vote for practice.
Because she was already trying to find another one at a considerably higher price, and I was just wanting to talk with you guys about the Chima's possibly doing it. Okay, but if you're reviewing that, that'd be great.
Yes.
Okay.
We're in those conversations.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
I have a question. On our hospital, we have a website. Are the board members' names on there?
No, it's just about the hospital. Do you want your name up there?
I feel like the board members' names and contact information should be on there. Even if it was like a email that went, not necessarily private cell phones, but like an email that went through the hospital or something like that. I just think it'd be good for public relations, for people to at least know who we are. Does that seem appropriate to the rest of you? And also, is the date and time of meeting on there?
No, we don't post any of that information on our website. We keep that pretty much for clinical affairs. And
I think that would be a good thing to have on there too, just in case somebody had something they wanted to bring forward.
I think in general that's a good idea. I think that things ought to be very transparent.
I agree. Do you want me to move that, or is that?
I'll move it.
Okay. Move that we put the board members' names and contact information on the website, as well as the time and date of our meetings. Is that okay? I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to update the website. All in favor, say aye. Discussion? Anybody opposed to having your name on it?
Who does the website?
We contract that out. It's called WCTI and Swan.
It's just a static website? Does it change at all from day to day or week to week?
Our Facebook page does, but otherwise it's pretty much static. That's why we have it managed, is so that we don't have to manage Facebook. all of that is basically, that's part of the service. And we're up for I think we get a free redesign every 3 years, and I believe that's coming up this year. Should be.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Okay, I have another, while we're on the subject of transparency. I move that we make the minutes and the financial reports available to the public at the meetings. That we make copies so that people who attend the meetings can have a copy at no expense and no charge. Because now I think it's $10 a page, so it's
No,
costing.
it's $1.
I mean, $1 a page.
It's
right.
$1 a page. That is, yes.
But like I was
But,
talking.
but as I like to reinforce, everybody thinks that my administrative assistant should take care of that. But I do not have an administrative assistant. It costs us money to do these things for a while.
I agree,
And we are under public scrutiny
We should be.
about the cost of operating this business. So I think it's only fair for us to recoup our costs.
Right,
of
but
providing
you're
these
contending
items
like it's going
to
to
the
cost
public.
hundreds of dollars to provide this. It's going to cost $1 to provide this, maybe. And here's the thing. Like I was talking to a gal today who's on the Hospital Foundation. She finds this totally absurd. She said, I go to the Board of Education meeting. They've got 25 packets lying there. They encourage us to take them home, read them. Come back if you have questions. Let us know what you saw or didn't see in that information that you need to know. The city does that. To me, it looks like we're trying to hide something. Like we don't want anyone to know our business. To my knowledge, we're not doing anything evil, corrupt, or stupid. So why wouldn't we just put it out there for the public to see what a great job we're doing?
Well, that's why Chris and/or Jim is here every week. We're open and transparent.
Right, and they should have a packet.
We entertain questions.
Right,
So,
can they have a packet? Why not?
Again, it costs money to do that. Now,
Okay.
if you're all in favor of giving all of this away for free, you know,
I'd say,
that-
Lorelei, that
that's fine.
the answer to your question is, just make a copy of it if you ever requested it.
From my computer, my printer.
Yes,
Why?
why not?
Why should I do that when I'm part of a board that should be doing that?
Does it cost money?
No. We will spend money. We come here and we eat a meal. That costs money. We're not cutting that. You think that meal costs less than making one copy of this to hand out to somebody? How does that look to the public when we come here and enjoy a meal together, but we won't let them have a piece of paper to tell them what's going on in their meetings? If it's a matter of money, then we need to cut out everything that costs money. I don't think it's a matter of
Well,
money.
it's kind of like tearing the house down. It's going to be a fee. Let's say you lose $1,000. Tear that house down and sell it.
Well, that's what does that have to do with this?
It's money.
So what?
So why you just want to spend money?
That was promised years ago when the house was bought. It's a totally different issue. And yeah, it should have been done many, many, many times over the years, and hasn't been, and now should be. And if the commission's willing to do that for free, God bless them. If they're not, then shouldn't we really have to? It's our responsibility. It was our promise. And what tearing down a house has to do with making a simple copy to hand out to people so they can know what's going on in the meetings, I don't understand that. It's a matter of transparency. It's a matter of how it looks to the public when we have to keep everything we're doing under wraps so that
We
they
don't
can't
keep
find out.
anything we do under wraps.
Then why can't we make a copy of this and give it to the journalist so she knows what's actually going on? Give it to people who come to the meeting to see what's happening here.
Jill's never asked me for it, except one
I
time.
know when I was
She
at the
asked
last
one time.
meeting in April, she said it would really be helpful to me to have
And
what's
she
in
told
the
me
packet.
afterwards, thank you, I won't be needing this anymore. So that's
Well,
I
I think you're evading the issue.
no, I'm
Okay.
I'm
Okay, you're right. from now on, I'm going to copy everything in my packet and distribute it. I guess I'll do it at my expense because I feel this board needs to be transparent, even if no one else on the board does.
You know, I feel it should be transparent. But if you feel it's a necessity, let do it.
It is a
Find yourself.
necessity. There's nobody who doesn't do it but us. And I don't understand why we're special or different.
Are you ready to vote?
We can't vote. It hasn't been seconded, has it? It's an open meeting. It's Cora and Coma that this information is to be made available to the public.
We're talking.
We never had,
I just get
this
this
is
in.
each week, we have a commissioner that shows up.
We get a bunch of.
And then Mr. Gershman, but we never get people from the public coming in.
Well, for one thing, it's not listed anywhere for anyone to know. We want to change that too.
It's been the same time for how many years?
I'm not saying that we need to make 35 packets to hand out. I'm saying we should make one or two so that if people come and request it, they can have it. You know, we just talked about our beautiful glowing letter in here telling us how amazing we are in this list. Why wouldn't we want people to have that? Why would we keep that under wraps? Doesn't make sense to me.
I'll promise you this, or like you said, it was a foundation member that requested this, I'll take it across to her and give it to her. My packet, and she can look at it. How's that?
So you think there's one person in the county who
No, you-
ought to know?
No, you said choose one, I told you, so I'll be going to do that.
That's
Okay,
ridiculous.
a motion was made. Do I have a second for it? And where that lies. Failed lack of a second.
That surprises me, but there you go. We know where we stand.
Any other new business?
Yes, I have another question. Do we have a plan to inform people that Joe Black is gone? Like with a letter or, I understand people have been asking for Joe Black. And people have been asking for Dr. Dragoni.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying he's been, you know, I think people like the Chimas, but they're not willing to commit to the Chimas if they feel they're Dr. Dragoni's patient. And so I feel like we need to get something out because what people have been saying is, and even to my home have been saying to me is, I have a right to know what's going on with my doctor. And I think they have a right to know as well.
Dr. Dragoni has certain rights as well, which includes the right to privacy in some affairs. I have certain obligations and responsibilities not to discuss certain things that are going on with him, except an executive session with this group,
I
because they
understand.
have a right to know. So I am, all I feel comfortable in saying, based on the advice of the people I talk to, is that Dr. Dragoni is on an extended personal leave of absence.
Okay, how about Dr. Black? Are we going to notify anybody on that, or should we just say in the clinics when they call when he's gone, or?
Yeah, I think they already are. I don't, you know, it's too bad Joe left. I will say that. But he reneged on the deal with me. And so I'm still a bit unhappy with that.
Well, yeah,
Because
it's not really-
he left us in the lurch, and so if people want to know what's, and maybe I'm just being too old and too out of temper, but
I guess my thing is it's not really about Joe, it's about his patients who
Yeah.
want to know where he is and when they can see him. And I just wondered if we want
I
to do anything.
don't know where he is, and I do not know what he's doing. But if the letter would, we can get the letter together, but I don't, it wouldn't have any of his contact information. It's just that he's gone. And I don't know that he ever had a permanent patient list like Abby or any of the other providers he had. So he saw people on a walk-in basis. We maintained the walk-in clinic, and it was pretty well known, I thought, that he was gone. And so, but if we need to get I can put an ad in the paper, but I don't know that he had any permanent patients. They were almost all walk-ins. Because that's what we hired him to do.
And then I also wanted to know, have you heard of this Every Door Direct Mail? Have you ever
Every
used
what?
that? It's called Every Door Direct Mail. We use it sometimes at the senior center, and what it is it sends, you can send a flyer to every home in a zip code.
Mm-hmm.
So like we do two roll routes, one zip code when we send out for a calendar. And so we reach 300 homes for about $58.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just thinking and I don't know if it would be appropriate, I just wanted to know about it in case you want to do some kind of a flyer to the whole county about the CHUMAs or about the
Well,
change,
yeah,
rather than just sending it to our patient population.
yeah,
You know
we're
what I mean?
working on a marketing campaign now.
Well, that's what I just wanted you to know about that, in
Yeah.
case that's something you want to investigate. It's called
We're
Every
working
Door
on that.
Direct
Yeah,
Mail.
we've already posted some flyers in the Sylvan Grove about Dr. Chima seeing patients there on Thursdays and things of that
Mhm.
nature. So we're looking at some other campaigns as well. I have that under development.
I just want you to know about Every Door Direct Mail because it's a
Okay.
great way to reach people,
All right.
and it's really cheap.
Thank you.
Next board meeting.
So, excuse me, requesting executive session 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
I have one, on Dr. Lagoni, is there any change in this, any guess on the future of him? or
Dr.
kind of-
Dragoni is basically on extended personal leave, and that's all I can say.
You get no time, no front, no get, okay. That's fine, people are asking me, that's all.
Well,
They're not saying I don't.
I've distributed fairly widely, I think, the guidelines that are available, and so those are out there. I am under some compulsion not to say very much about this.
Okay, people were wondering, that's all.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
All right, you wish to move to
I
executive
hereby
session?
move to executive recess to executive session to discuss potential acquisition of real estate for a new clinic as authorized by section 75-4319, subsection B, subsection 6 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act for preliminary discussion of the acquisition of real estate for 20 minutes. With the board present, Tanya, Steve, being the open meeting at 8:33.
Motion is made and seconded to move to executive session to discuss potential acquisition of real estate for a new clinic as authorized by section blah, 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 and for 20 minutes. Board members present, Tanya and Stephen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All same sign. We will move to executive session.
You said you'll have anything after this? Well, I should